Thank you for tuning in to Unlock Me Today's live event series, where we are conversing with thought leaders, founders, and CEOs about their journey, how they have unlocked their own true potential, and now they're unlocking the true potential of folks around them. Evening, afternoon, and morning, based on where you're from. This is your host, Prashant. And before I get any further, I would like to emphasize on the purpose of this event. We aim to unlock the true potential of folks who are in constrained environments, maybe not able to get enough time to connect to their role models, maybe unable to break through their extremely preoccupied, mundane life, or maybe the internet buzzwords are adding friction to harness positive changes. No matter what the reason may be, there's value in staying towards the end of this event. Today, we have Meenu Chadha to discuss about career transitions, a roadmap for midlife professionals. A little bit about Meenu Chadha, a renowned career coach with over 20 years of experience, a banker, business consultant, HR leader, talent acquisition professionals, entrepreneur. She's not just like a pro in banking, business consulting, HR leadership, talent acquisition. She's also a seasoned entrepreneur. Yes, I just wanted to double down on that one. Meenu has donned multiple hats across the landscape of India, Asia Pacific, and North America. Right now, she's on a mission to crack the code of successful career reinvention. So let's dive in. Meenu, where are you? What's going on? Where are you streaming in from today? We are very curious to know more about you and what's going on.
Thank you, Prashant. I'm very happy to be here. I am in Gurgaon, and it's a bit of cold in Gurgaon right now, and also a little bit of rain here. So excited to be a part of this session.
Absolutely. We are excited too, Meenu. We have a lot of questions, but before we get any further, I was reading through your profile on LinkedIn and other places where you coach, and I learned that you coach senior folks to navigate through career transitions. So please elaborate more on this one, like why you do this career transitioning thing and how does your coachees get benefit? If you got any kind of example without sharing names, happy to learn more about it.
Sure, Prashant. So I am with someone who has 20 plus years of experience, and I have myself transitioned my career more than 7 times. Wow. So that's what I do right now. So I kind of help people transition their careers, especially midlife to senior professionals. So that's my area of expertise. The kind of professionals I help are people who are going through career breaks, people who've been laid off, people who are changing domains, people who are changing countries, people who are changing industries, sectors, whatever it takes. So that's my area of expertise. That's where I do my best to help my mentees. My mentees could be CHROs, CFOs, women with maternity breaks. And also recently, I'm kind of coaching a lot of premium college graduates who are unable to find the placements because a lot of offers have been retrenched. So,
oh, you know what, Meenu? Trust what? Knowing you can be a big, huge benefit for someone who is in that particular phase of his or her life. You know, we all work, and as long as I know, very few people, maybe just 0.001% of folks are like, they join a company and then they stay with that company till they retire. But you're helping people. I'm excited to know and very curious to know, what are the challenges in coaching someone or training someone or helping them navigate through this particular phase? What happens? Somebody reaches out to you like, hey, Meenu, you know what? I need help. I have done this, and not working out. So how do you start?
Sure, Prashant. So what has happened now? Career transitions are very difficult, right? And it is difficult because there's no charted territory, right? So there's no role models. There's no way to go, right? So it's a long process. There's a lot of emotional challenges involved as well, especially when people are laid off, they've had career breaks, they don't know how to invent and go back into the job market, right? Because we associate, we've started working longer. I mean, the careers are no longer finishing at 50, 55, right? They're going far beyond that. A lot of things have been disrupted by technology. There's work from home, there's AI, and you name it. The organizations are disrupting, right? So first there was this huge resignation wave, and now there's this huge wave of layoffs, right? And we are also starting to expect so much more from our careers, right? So it's more than just livelihood. It is passion, it's purpose, it's fulfillment, right? So yes, things have changed a lot. And coaching, when someone comes to me for coaching, it's very interesting. Now, depends if I'm kind of working with someone with limited years of experience, right? So that's a different battle. When it's like a mid-career to a senior professional, it's more, I think, it's more of like emotional hand-holding as well, right? That also comes in when coaching is when one is coaching, right? So that's the interesting part, right? But mostly when you have mentees, most of them are very open in terms of wanting a change, right? And that is why they're there, right? That is why they're wanting help. And for me, it fulfills my passion, because the way coaching happens is you kind of try to understand their experience, their work portfolio, and dig deep, right? And most of the people are so eager to want to help and want to get help and to succeed, right? So right now I'm running a flagship program, which kind of 95% of my mentees within 90 days or lesser have found the roles that they have been desiring.
Wow, 95% of them, 90 days, not bad. I see very less opportunities coming up on LinkedIn or other job portals. And there's a plethora of folks who are experienced, the right fit for the right job, but they are somewhere not having the right kind of opportunity. Either for one application, there are like 1,000 applicants and they're not able to stand out there, or folks are like not sure if their current role is not coming up, how they can transition to another role. So, Meenu, do you also get situations like where someone has a break? Say, like someone got laid off or something happened and they have not worked for, say, like maybe 3 months or 6 months or maybe a year, and now they want to come back to the workforce. And how do you help them? Because everybody is asking, like, you've been a recruiter as well, right? So everybody said, why did you quit your company? Why did you quit your company? And help us with that particular section here, please.
Sure, sure. So, Prashant, what I believe is that career transition is a journey of self-discovery. That comes first. And that's where a mentor comes in. And then acknowledging the skills one has. And the most important part is learning to narrate your story authentically, right? So that's where I feel most of the mentees lack, right? So it's now when I say learning to narrate my story selectively, it is based on what I want to be rather than what I have been. So let me explain it with an example, right?
Sure.
So most of when one is interviewing, see, I've donned the recruiter hat for the last 20 years in organizations such as Accenture, Hewitt, the second largest bank in North America, a lot of product companies, right? So you name it. Now, what happens? Let's get into a recruiter's shoes, right? A recruiter has a job description in his or her hand, right? He or she, in all probability, even for executive or senior leadership, will be a junior person, like maybe a 5 to 6 years experience at the most, right? Now, this job description is a question paper. He or she has to match your skill set with what he has in his or her hand, right? So he doesn't. Now, when someone goes to him, when he's interviewing a candidate has to kind of learn to selectively narrate relevant areas of what he or she has done. And in terms of career breaks, now in the recent past, Prashant, that used to be the case in the last like 7-8 years back when career breaks are not looked at very well, right? So now I personally believe that the market is very open to career breaks, right? So even LinkedIn legitimized it, right? There's a section where you can kind of talk about your career break and the transferable skills that you've acquired during that career break, right?
Yep.
So that's the art that one has to learn, right? So if you've been on a career break, if you've been an entrepreneur, if you've been a founder, if you've been a stay-at-home mom, or if you've been laid off, right? We've all gone through that journey, right? And there's nothing wrong in saying that this is what I've experienced and this is what my learnings are, right?
Right.
So I remember from my own journey, I worked for a North American startup company in India, right? And I believe I was the 13th employee to be hired.
Okay.
And then and then as their HR leader for Asia Pac, I had to lay off everyone, including myself, right?
Wow.
So when Accenture was interviewing me, right? So I was very proud to say that I laid off everyone, including myself, right? So it's nothing to be ashamed of, right? If I have taken breaks as a mom, which most mothers do, right? So you can, I mean, there's nothing wrong to talk about your breaks and the learnings they have brought in your life, right? So, and people are open. Recruiters are also open. If you're changing industries, domains, countries, right? And many of my mentees have gone through that journey, and they've gone through that journey selectively and successfully.
Absolutely. And what, and Meenu, I have a question here. These are a set of folks who are like, okay, something unfortunate happened to them and they were away from their job and now they're looking for. How about people who are in the same organization for many years and now they feel like, oh my God, somebody working with them quit like 5 years back and now they are earning like twice as they are earning now. How do you deal with that particular persona who definitely needs a lot of guidance, how they can grow internally? Please elaborate on that one.
Sure, Prashant. So absolutely. And yes, so with a lot of firms, it's like the erstwhile firms, right? So I know when I was working with Accenture, I mean, people have worked with Accenture for 16, 18 years at a stretch, right? And when it's time to move, right? And sometimes it might be involuntary, right? It's difficult. It's difficult to go out there and learn the art of kind of networking, meeting and talking to people for coffee chats, kind of reassessing your strengths. Like, let me start with the steps, like generically, what are the steps that one goes through for like during the career transition journey, right? So first, like one starts to assess the situation. So most of the times when I say that I want to transition, I need to kind of dig deeper and find out if it's a situational reason that I'm wanting to change my current organization, or is it more fundamental, right? So if my boss is not good, right, that I mean, just leaving your job, and first step is to analyze whether it's a situational or a fundamental reason.
Okay.
And then again, it is also important to know, impossible to know where one is going if we don't know where we are presently, right? So first, one looks at where one is before one decides to where to go, right?
Like a GPS, like where are you right now and where you want to go? Yep, noted.
Absolutely. And then there's this very interesting regret minimization theory from the Amazon founder, which talks about, as an 80-year-old, will I have more regrets if I keep doing what I'm doing now, or will I have that's how you decide whether you want to kind of change what you're doing now in terms of, as an 80-year-old, if I was to look back and analyze, would I be happy or satisfied, or would I be very unhappy if I hadn't changed my track, right? So that's kind of how some of us, or that's how Bezos took his decision, right? So when he started Amazon, right? So that's a framework. And then kind of sit down and kind of journal in terms of where you want to be in future. It need not be like 100-page long autobiography, but kind of put your thoughts in terms of where you want to be. And then one kind of looks at, like, if someone's working with me, I like to kind of understand in greater detail in terms of what their work portfolio has been, right? because that helps me build a story for them.
Yeah.
Of where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
career transition is basically connecting the dots between what you have done
Mm-hmm.
with where you want to be, right? So that's the connecting the dots and learning to narrate your narrative selectively based on where you want to be,
Yeah.
right? So,
Sure.
and then kind of one does a skill gap analysis and sees what are the transferable skills one can pick out from the work portfolio, which
Mm-hmm.
are aligned to where one wants to be, right? So, Prashant, I was talking
Yeah.
to someone yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and this mentee has he's worked with Accenture in data.
Okay.
He's been a facility manager with an organization.
Okay.
He's been an operation manager with the Indian Business School. He's
Uh-huh.
run schools and 3 to 4 more other profiles, right?
Wow.
And every time
Mm-hmm.
he started, like he does one role,
Mm-hmm.
and then with the new role, which is different, he started again from ground up, right?
Mm.
Then he does the new role and again from ground up. So, what
Mm.
I'm trying to say is you have to kind of analyze what are the transferable skills you bring to the table.
Yeah.
And it's a career transition doesn't mean restarting from scratch, right? It means starting and continuing to grow from where you are, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm making X,
Mm-hmm.
I have to grow monetarily also, right? Restarting or a career transition doesn't mean you come to ground zero. So one also takes into account the transferable skills that you've kind of been acquiring in the roles that you've been doing,
Yeah.
right?
So, Meenu,
So
I
that's
would like to pause you
sure.
here and ask this transferable skills. Can you elaborate more than that, so that audience is all tuned up on transferable skills? What are they, and how to identify them, and how to position them when we are conversing from one employer to another one?
Sure. So, Prashant, these are basic skills.
Mm-hmm.
These are basic skills like adaptability,
Mm-hmm.
like your industry experience that you have, communication skills,
Mm-hmm.
uh, project management skills, leadership skills, teamwork skills,
Mm.
creativity, critical thinking skills, right? So these are basic transferable skills, right?
Mm.
So, for example, I will give you an example.
Sure.
So, one of my mentees, he did a BTech from Bangalore, and he has around 3 years of experience. Now, he does this BTech. He starts working as a software developer.
Mm-hmm.
He's underpaid.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves the job in an year, and then he gets on to do some computer courses ad hoc. And then he works with a kitchen appliance company. And from there, he works for some time. COVID happens. He loses his dad, and he does a sari business, which was his family business. He
Mm-hmm.
does it while COVID lasts.
Okay.
Then he decides he wants to be a product manager,
Okay.
and he goes and does a program from A-Tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And now he says, I want to be a product manager, right? So his story was very interesting because to find the common thread in
Mm-hmm.
what all he had done
Mm-hmm.
is where the story is, right? And
Right.
when we found the common thread, right? So he kind of, after his sessions, like he built a story
Mm-hmm.
which shows him as a product analyst with 3+ years of experience because we picked up the skills that he had done in the past 3 years
Mm-hmm.
and weaved his story, right?
Got it.
So weaved his story to be a product analyst in a tech company because he did have the tech experience.
Mm-hmm.
From the kitchen tech company, he had done some product managerial experience. So we
Okay.
picked that experience up. From entrepreneurship, we picked up the relevant experience, and that's how we built his story and he landed his job, right? So that's
Yeah.
how you kind of weave stories. These are authentic stories. And now, Prashant, when we weave these stories,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just story because recruiters are smart people, right? They
Mm-hmm.
know when you're telling them a story, right? And you should have the confidence to narrate your story.
Yeah.
So now when a mentee comes, right? So when we understand the story and we're trying to weave the story, we look at the job description of the roles that he's targeting, right?
Mm.
And we ensure that he has like a resume which speaks the same language,
Mm-hmm.
right? We kind of look at examples from his work experience
Mm-hmm.
and substantiate them with the right terminology so that he's able to narrate his story in the right language,
Right.
right? And then with him, we work the first cut and the second cut of his resumes. We optimize his profile. We optimize his LinkedIn. We make him work on his. He starts posting. He starts expanding his network,
Yep.
and he goes beyond his reach, right? So, and we also, especially for people, and this is like a junior mentee I'm talking about now, for mid and higher
Mm-hmm.
senior people, we also ensure the challenge there, I think, is more emotional
Mm.
than the hard skills. And there we work with them to, in addition to all this, we also, especially the ones on gaps, we have to ensure that they are their EQ is working well.
Okay.
And they also have their rates. Like sometimes what happens is
Mm-hmm.
when one doesn't have the job, one gets desperate, and that desperation is very visible, right? Whether in terms of negotiation or whether in
Mm-hmm.
terms of taking the first low hanging opportunity that comes your way.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a mentor, you keep them focused so that
Mm.
they don't run after the lowest hanging fruit and they work towards their target and succeed at it, right?
Yeah.
So, that's where I think a coach or a mentor comes in, right? So,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you so much for giving some live examples because most of the times, we keep hearing these things, career transitions, coach, mentor, but an individual who's stuck in his or her midlife career, there is a lot going on there. There's a mindset which is required to be changed. An individual has to do certain things which they are very well aware of, but unable to do it for no matter whatever the reason may be. But there has to be some action towards the direction what they want to go. So, with that said, Meenu, I'm going to ask folks to raise their hands if they have a question so that we can pick it up and show us some love here, folks. If you are listening here and if you are getting benefits from this conversation, put that react button, click on it, and show some love. Okay, so Meenu, while people raise their hands here and let us know if they have any questions, the answer what I have is that how about the mindset change? Sometimes I'll give you an example. I was talking to somebody who was working for an organization for like over 20, 23 years. And he started with the frontliner. And now, until last month, he was the vice president of the organization. I mean, multiplied his salary maybe 50 times than what he joined till now. And he got laid off. When he got laid off, he cut off from LinkedIn, all social media, and everywhere, and not even answering any calls, not even connecting with anybody. There is something which has changed in him. So, what do you recommend to folks like that? It can happen to anybody. See, now we all have learned that layoffs are nothing against the individual. It's the business. Sometimes it works well. They are hiring like anybody, and sometimes it's not working well. So, that's fine. So, how do you help that individual? Like, give me like 2-3 liners, something which can be immediate, effective for that individual, or what steps that individual can take.
okay, so Prashant, that's a difficult question to answer in 3 lines, but I think quickly upskilling once, see, one is accepting, and one is accepting that it's not personal, right? I've been on the
Mm.
other side of the table. I
Mm-hmm.
have laid off people, and trust me,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm laying off, right, it is difficult. It's a very, very difficult decision. And most of the time, organizations do not have choice when they are laying off, right? So it's
That is
nothing
true.
personal. And most of the good employers also help people who've been laid off in kind of resettling them and redirecting them to coaches, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
do have corporate clients where I'm working with the corporate clients to work with the laid off employees to kind of help them reskill and upskill and move to better directions, right? So a lot of organizations, some of the good ones also invest in their people by giving this kind of support. And when one kind of makes the mentee or a coachee understand this is nothing personal, it's a business decision, right? And helping them keep the positive mindset. I personally feel fitness plays a very positive role because, see, I have walked the talk, right? So
Right.
I have been laid off also, right? I've been laid off, right? So in Canada and in India, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
It's okay, and there's nothing personal about it because every time a career transition happens, the journey is difficult. But Prashant, I have never met anyone who's not come out better financially and in position and in a much better position after coming out of this journey,
Yeah.
right? So transition is, and that is why handholding is important. And in terms of specific help, one helps the mentee have a clear walkaway point, right? So that they don't take the lower hanging fruit, right?
Right.
So when the first offer comes, they don't jump. So we help them set a clear walkaway point, right? And help them with their emotions. But again, I'm not qualified to deal with their emotions. I help them as a career coach to the best abilities that I have.
Yeah. Sure. And we have a question. So I'm going to put the microphone to one of the attendees. There you go, Biswa. Over to you. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Prashant. Hi, Meenu. I have a question. When somebody is on the verge of doing a career transition and in the current job scale, he doesn't have anything, he or she doesn't have anything, right? And they want to do a transitioning to something which will easily or the job which is available in the market. Now, my question is, there would be a lot of experienced folks would be applying for a position where this person is going to apply for, right? Now, so comparing to both of the situations, one side there is a person who is experienced, who is applying for a similar job or a same job, and this person who is doing a career transition is applying for the same job. Now, how the person will equip in the interview to make sure that he or she cracks it?
Sure, Baswaji. So that's a very valid question. I think that the art is not to kind of start from scratch. So, Biswajit, you're comparing two things, right? So you are showcasing yourself as someone who is doing a career transition, moving to the aspirational role, right? Versus someone who has the experience in the aspirational role, right?
Correct.
So I would not play it this way. Okay, Biswajit, what? Because you're not starting from scratch, right? So if it's a mid-career professional, I'm assuming he or she has 10 to 15 years of experience, right? So they pick out once we understand his work profile in greater detail, right? So one kind of picks out the relevant parts of his profile to the new role he's aspiring for, and we build his narrative. And Biswajit, normally when organizations are hiring, right, organizations also want people who bring a fresh insight into the roles, right? So we're not showcasing you as a fresher entering that domain, right? Versus an experienced person entering that domain. We are showing you as a well-rounded professional who has experience in skill A, B, C, which are relevant to the new job, plus other skills, right? So you have a far more rounded experience than someone who's grown in that skill from A to B to C to D, right? So you're bringing wider experience, and that's how that's how you prepare for it, right? So we will weave that story out of your work experience narrative to showcase you as a better candidate with a wider range of experience, right? And it is built backwards from the job description, right? So that's what reverse engineering is, right? So this is, I'm sorry, but Biswajit, sadly, that's the way the market is, right? When you narrate your story, showcasing how you're a better fitment for the role. See, you've already connected the dots when you're talking to the recruiter. You will do the background work, the homework when you make your pitch to the recruiter, right? Versus someone who's done it in his sleep as well, right? So you bring in passion, you bring in energy, and a wide range of experience. That's how you sell yourself. And this, trust me, it has worked and it works.
No, I was. Thank you for the answer, Minu. I was just hearing the transitioning of the person you were talking about who moved from. I forgot that, but he moved to a product role.
Correct.
And I was thinking about it. To be a product person, you need to know a lot of things. You need to know data science. You need to know project management. You need to know business. You need to know finance. So, knowing all these things and going freshly to apply or get into a job where there are professionals who are already in and doing the job at that point of time. So how you are going to compete with those people, that is difficult, right? I understand what you told is definitely difficult when you are transitioning to a new job, but simultaneously how prepared you are to apply for that position, that matters, right?
No, so I will explain. So I didn't get into too much details, but what we did, Biswajit, with him was he worked with a technology company in his first year, right? Then
Uh-huh.
he did some ad hoc courses, right? Then he worked with the kitchen tech company. Now, with the kitchen tech company, he was taking care of marketing. He was working with the back end teams. He was also working on the product launch of the product, right? It was a uh, kitchen tech equipment that he was working with, right? He was also working on the back end with the technology team to bring the product to the market, right? So there were certain relevant parts, and also we made him change his pitch. Biswajit, he did not get hired as a product manager. See, he was targeting wrong. He
Mhm.
joined as a product analyst.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where, because that's how, see, when I'm someone with 3 years experience, I cannot I mean, I do not do wonders, right? Because with 3 years of experience, okay, and then after that he did his sari business, right? Now, sari business, he was an entrepreneur. He was also doing, he brought the products to market.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was taking feedback from the end user and going back to the, he was like a tradesperson in between. So he was also going to the manufacturing back end and giving them feedback to develop the product better. So there were parts in his role that he did, right? Then he
Mhm.
went on to do the air tribe experience, right? Where they do a project, right? So where we made him build. Then he went on his LinkedIn and he started talking about this, right? He started networking out of his comfort zone to people who were already in the industry. You
Okay.
see, so his outlook became, if he's in the same domain, so he started eating, drinking, thinking of products, writing about them. So that's how his persona changed, right? So from someone who was disheartened, who was not getting any break, he got the right break as an analyst, right? And he's now growing into the right way.
Yep. And everybody's
Okay.
story is so different. Everybody's story is so different. And once we get into details, what exactly they did, I think then the story of the NAF comes in because somebody has to tell that and sell that as well, right? It's not just writing a story. ChatGPT can do that. Yep. So,
Oh yes, oh yes. He used to use Chat GPT, but see, we also use. See, I use quite a bit of technology into what I do, right?
right.
But again, Chat GPT has to be told what to do, right?
Correct.
The narrative is ours. The language is the final. A product will come out of Chat GPT, but the language and what we want highlight will come from us, right?
Yeah.
And also, when we have the interview mock sessions, which I do quite a bit of, right? Because you should have to the confidence to tell your story, right? So that's where also the game is. And I'm not writing, see, I'm not writing the resume. I'm helping my mentees write the resume. So the first, second, third draft, I'm giving them inputs, right?
Yeah.
So and none of them is fake, right? It's what they've done. And this, by the way, my mentee works with a company called Acradian. So you would have heard about it. So he works with Acradian. And right now he's been given a title of product manager, whereas the role is product analyst, right? So yes,
Accredian, which was earlier inside, right?
I would not know that. I would not
Okay.
know that, Biswajit, but I know he currently is with Acradian, right?
Yeah.
So that's I don't know the background of it. Sorry.
I did my product management through inside. I believe that is Accredian now. Okay.
Small world,
Okay,
man.
sure.
It is
A
small
small
world.
world, yes.
Everything, everywhere on the scrolling page. It comes in and the wall never
Yeah.
ends. Thank you,
Well,
Mr.
thank you
G.
so much for hearing out and answering my question, Meenu. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right, folks. Who else has got a question here for Meenu? Okay, good. There are no questions. So that is totally fine. But I tell you what, folks, most of the times we are listening to things, but we also need to keep a thought here that there can be other people who would need help, and you can become the bridge for them. Maybe somebody in your network, in your family. Do follow us so that we can keep sharing the right things and you can get benefited out of it. Most of the times, I get so many DMs after the event ends. You can continue doing that. There is no harm. But Meenu, our 40 minutes is about to end. And what one question I have is that what are your closing notes for folks?
Absolutely. Go ahead for your career transition journey. You don't want to regret at 80, right? So take what it takes and feel in case you have any questions, please feel free to reach out via DM or reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Thank you, Meenu, for your time here. And ladies and gentlemen, show me some love. Where are those hearts? If you motivate us, we stay motivated as well. Yep, there you go. Yeah, Meenu, you were saying something.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this session and I look forward to hearing any or seeing any DMs from any of you.
Absolutely, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in here. And in this event, my purpose is to unlock folks in constrained environments. Most of the times when we get stuck, we need somebody's help. And here I get people who are experts in their domains, and you can connect with them so that you are able to navigate through your professional journey with flying colors. With that said, thank you, Meenu, once again. And everyone, you all have a great evening. Talk to you again. Bye.
Thank you, Prashant.